Today, I want to talk about a beneficial predator that is pretty common across different parts of North America. And even though it is pretty common, it's not commonly seen. When it comes to natural pest control, particularly when we're growing different kinds of crops, this is a really good predator to know about and to encourage on the landscape. So in this video, we are going to get to know this predator a little bit. We are going to learn about its benefits, and we are going to learn about the habitat that it lives in so that we can help to create our growing spaces to be a little bit more inclusive to the population of this predator on the landscape. The red-bellied snake is a native reptile to North America, and it's also one of North America's smaller snakes. It usually only measures up to like 6 or 8 to 10 inches long as adults, and especially in terms of humans, this snake is regarded as non-venomous. The red-bellied snake has a tan to brown overcoat on its scales, and underneath is a bright red or sometimes orangish kind of coloration to its underbelly. And this tan reddish brown color over top is really good for it to be able to camouflage more easily on the landscape, like in leaf litter and other detritus. And then of course, when we're talking about the red-bellied snake, we don't want to confuse it with the red-bellied black snake, which is an entirely different snake that is native to Australia, and it is somewhat venomous. But this snake, of course, indicative of the name, will be black over top with a red belly underneath. So the benefits of the red-bellied snake is primarily that of a predator. It also functions as prey in some respects for like hawks and maybe some other larger animals. But this snake is super beneficial to the landscape, especially in terms of crop production, because this snake is a voracious predator of slugs and snails. Those are really its two main pests that it will go after, and it will work to control. Otherwise, the snake will also go after isopods like pillbugs, also the larvae of various types of insects, and then this snake will also go after some earthworms. So now we're going to talk about the habitat of the red-bellied snake. So this snake is fairly adaptable, right? It can thrive and do pretty well in a fairly wide range of habitats, anywhere from like woods to meadows to swamps and bogs. Those types of environments overall can be pretty conducive to this reptile, especially as long as these types of environments can afford this snake protection. Specifically what I'm talking about here is this reptile likes to be under things, right? It's not like some of the other snakes, like the garter snakes that like to sunbathe. This snake will prefer to be under logs, under bark, boards, tarps, even certain rocks, especially like the darker colored rocks and the flat ones like slate or shale, because those rocks tend to heat up more quickly and they can help to radiate more heat from the sun. So this snake does like to get heat and warmth from the sun, but it likes to do that in places where it feels protected, right? And so it's going to be under these different natural objects, or even some man-made objects too, like tarps. And sometimes these sheltering objects don't have to be big or obvious, but even just forest litter, right? All that detritus of the dead leaves and twigs can also afford this snake a sense of protection. A red-bellied snake structure can be as simple as this, right? We have a piece of slate rock here. It may have been originally cut to be like a stepping stone or something like that, and I have it just propped up by this little rock here. So it gives a little bit of a passage underneath this rock, right? It doesn't have to be big because these snakes are really small. And so as the sun rises, it will actually heat up this rock, and then it will make it nice, and then it will help to make it nice and warm underneath. And it just recently rained a whole bunch too, so it's nice and damp under there too, which would also be probably appreciated by the snake. So if we want to attract and encourage the life of this snake on the landscape, these are definitely some aspects regarding habitat specifically that we want to keep in mind, right? If we can have these safe places for this snake to be able to hide out, because this will help to lessen the chances of getting attacked by a predator that it may have. And then of course, when it comes to attracting this reptilian predator to the landscape, we also want to keep in mind what it eats, right? And make sure the food source is on the landscape as well, especially the slugs, the snails, and some of those other insects and invertebrates, because those will be the primary food source of this snake. So thank you so much for checking out this video on the red-bellied snake. Now we know a little bit more about this beneficial reptile. We know its benefits and some very key aspects of what it has to offer, and we also know what type of habitat this reptile likes on the landscape, so that we can work to create more of that, more of those spaces where we are growing crops that might be sensitive to some of these pests. So thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to seeing you in a future video. Take care.